right. Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the February 21st, 2024 meeting of the Lyman Planning Board. This meeting will now come to order. This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all exhibits that are offered. If the board goes into executive session, the reason for doing so shall be specifically stated. Please notify the chair if you have any difficulty seeing or hearing. This meeting is being recorded for YouTube. And just a heads up to everyone on the board, I've heard that there's been some difficulty in catching our audio of late, so maybe making sure that the mic is a little bit more proximate to where we are. In each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with all the provisions of the applicable ordinance or ordinances. After the board votes on the merits of each project, it will prepare a written opinion, which will be forwarded within 7 days. The board works from a prepared agenda, and we will be considering during these meetings these items in the following order. After a roll call, MX 207, the notice of decision, Brookview Estates, letter from the applicant regarding the revision of the notice of decision, the YMCA summer camp. We'll view the site walk notes there. We'll do the same for Richard and Judith Hewitt at 75 Parker's Pond. Kyle Gassman is on the agenda to discuss a removable dock in a right-of-way. Mr. John Platts is here to discuss whether a medical marijuana delivery service is permitted at his location. We will discuss a possible change in the start of the meeting time. We'll set the agenda for the next meeting, which is scheduled for March 6th of this year. And old business, just maybe an update on the Harbor Residential subdivision. Can you please join me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Long may she wait.
I will move that Bill Single be recognized as a full voting member for tonight's meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
You're welcome. Thank you. Roll call. Kelly, if you please.
Kelly Demers, 10 Partridge Way.
Bill Single, 8 Single Lane.
Joe Wagner, 26 Day Road.
Kevin Fair, 64 Bugging Pond Road.
Don Hernan, 33 Murphy's Way.
All right. First on the agenda is the notice of decision for MX 207. Copies in our packets. And I was sent out to Cecile, did comment that everything is okay. Eyes on that.
And then there's the one official to be signed copy.
Yes, got that right.
Did you get my one typo?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
This does include all the dates that we met concerning this, and there's 4 conditions that we decided on to add at the end of the notice of decision. I think, if you're correct, if I'm not remembering correctly, but I think we had voted on all this beforehand, so I don't think there's a necessity for motion.
Just need to sign it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
But just your feedback, if you see anything else that was missing or
No, long drawn out process.
I think it covers everything we talked about.
Yep. Applicant's been very
So, anyway.
accommodating for our requests.
yes. So, all right. So I'll sign that at the end of the meeting. Next on the agenda, Brookview Estates subdivision. They did send in a email letter, but it was noticed that it was addressed to the select board, not the planning board. And there has been no response back in terms of that. A correction was asked for, but has not yet been received. So Chair will entertain a motion to table this until the next meeting, and hopefully they'll send in the corrected request for the extension on their notice of decision.
Could I ask, did we send them a note asking them about that? or not at, but suggesting that you send it to the right people?
I did email Nicole, who works for
Mhm.
Mason Property Management. She replied, she was sorry, yes, it should have been, it was a mistake, addressing it to the select board, and that she would get it revised and sent, and that was, I believe, last Wednesday or Thursday, and I haven't received a revised one yet.
Jody, remind me to send the email reminder. I appreciate that. So again, table that for now, Jody.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mason Property Management is tabled for this evening. Let me see. Next up is reviewing the sidewalk notes on the YMCA summer camp, proposed to be held at 39 Muscatala Road, off of South Fork Road. And yeah, Don, thanks very much for getting the site walk notes prepared for us.
Does anybody hear from them? I don't think so.
No, I don't believe so. But we do have them on, well, we will place them on we have a public hearing set for the next meeting, and we'll put them on the agenda for immediately following.
Yeah, the only thing I mentioned to them at the sidewalk was that they ought to ask for whatever they, whatever level of operations they want, not, don't ask for 20 people if they're gonna wanna come back and have 60 students or camp members or something.
How's my memory on this? I think they said they had for the pilot last year about 30 kids.
Yeah.
And they were kind of projecting maybe 60 this time around.
Right.
But as you say, Don, maybe suggesting then say 100%, like that.
Right.
Because they are thinking about expansion of the program down the road.
We got plenty of room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that I thought that was kind of important to add in there
Mhm.
was the entry exit for the property.
Mhm.
I think
Oh,
they should
yeah.
put something out
That's
to let people know, because if you look to the right pulling out of there, it's
You
blind.
can't.
To the
To the
time.
left is good, but to the right is blind. So something to let people know something's going on there. I think.
Yeah, we did discuss that because of school bus pulling in and out,
Right.
taking a little longer. They suggested a sandwich board.
Right.
So,
One thing that I recall too, that they were looking to kind of advertise the fact that the camp that is there, only to make sure that return strangers don't show up and.
yes,
on the
trespass
property.
on the private property.
But I was thinking along the lines of sandwich boards, just something that says caution vehicles exiting and entering 200 feet, something
Yeah.
like that. And that should be sufficient and keep it confidential.
Just a cone out there, so people know something's up, you know?
Do we need to do anything with the road commissioner, do you think?
Ask his recommendation.
Run it by Tom and see what he was.
Just because it is a lousy, you really can't see very well.
I don't know. When I was going in there, I had a truck in front of me and I knew where I was going to be turning. And as I came up the hill, making the left-hand sweep, I had plenty of view to see where it was. I had a good 300 plus feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, going in, you're fine. It's coming.
It's
out.
coming
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
And if you got a bus coming out, taking a left-hand turn, going to Waterboro,
Could be a problem.
And
it could be an issue.
I can tell you that people going 65 through.
Oh,
there is
God,
not
yeah.
unusual.
Now, South Waterboro Road, is that a DOT patrol road?
It is.
It is.
And they.
Do they
and
need
the-
any kind of permit from DOT?
No, because it's an existing entrance.
Mhm.
If they were changing it, yes.
Mhm. Okay, good point. So,
One other thing this is a thought, sometimes people put those mirrors, across the road where you,
There's
which
a-
they don't last.
there's a couple
Somebody
just
then
down
throws a
the
rock at it, they probably break it, but,
Mm.
that's worth it to
you got
suggest to
like a
them.
hubcap kind of thing?
The ones that, the convex ones, that you stick across from where you're coming out, and gives the driver a view of the road, if it's properly placed. Again, how long they last is another question, how, you gotta use it. I don't know,
Well, send that,
whatever, but it's sort of a little flaky.
Other than that, that's a great spot.
Oh,
It is.
God, yeah.
Well, I think we got all the bases covered too in terms
Yeah.
of supervision of the kids and safety.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because they were saying it's like 10-1 or 13-1 students and
Mhm.
campers versus supervisors.
Mhm.
He explained the swim area and the 3 stages and the docks and the lifeguards and
all right. Well, more on that next time we have the public hearing at the next meeting, and we can bring those items up, checking with Tinker, the mirror, sandwich boards. All right. Next are the comments from the sidewalk at the Hewitts. That's at 75 Barker's Pond Road. We intend to do a tear down, rebuild, but essentially the same footprint. Yeah. Let's see. Now, one thing I think we asked was, we had, this has a diagram beforehand. You have a more condensed version of it with the 1 inch to 40 feet ratio.
I got one,
Okay.
did you get that?
No, no. That's pretty good. Would it be possible to obtain a 1 inch equals 40 foot? Because that is kind of specified in our,
in the zoning ordinance, yes.
Is that done with an AutoCAD program?
I'm not sure.
If it is, just tell them to just say, this is the size and it'll be done.
Rescale.
that's Mr. Casavan?
Just ask. It just meets the requirement 100%.
Yeah, because in the past, we've had some that weren't 1 to 40. And some people made an issue of it. So if you can bring one in bigger, you can bring one in smaller, as long as we have that 1 to 40 per the ordinance. Other than that,
Were there any questions, concerns based on the sidewalk?
did you find no, you said you didn't have a well.
Not that we know of.
No, there's no running water, no indoor plumbing whatsoever.
Well, you get into the plumbing,
Uh,
they pump out of the lake.
You do pump out of the lake,
Yes.
just for the sewer? Okay. Because that was one of the things we talked about.
Typical camper out here.
It could have been in the basement. Could have been a point well in the basement.
Well, there was a pump tank and stuff in
Yeah.
there. Did you discuss where the location of the septic system was? And if it was reasonable to be able to move the building back from the water?
We would like to stay in the footprint, but if we would have to move back like 10 feet or so, could we put a deck on? Like that, 10 feet.
So move it back 10 and add a 10-foot deck and water side. I'd have to research.
If it doesn't encroach on the water any more than what it is right now,
It's already done that.
that's really not enlarging it.
What is the max percent ground coverage? Well, it'd be,
Hmm.
that's my concern.
It's 20%.
Mhm. Yeah, as it is right now, I think we measured, 36 feet or so? Yeah, it's around the high water mark.
The water's never been that high.
Yeah.
No, I know it. I know it.
We usually have a 10-foot beach,
Yeah.
10, 11 feet beach. But this year we don't.
Look through this. Yeah. Generally speaking, our approach is, if possible, push the structure back to the most practicable location. And so if we do move back 10, that is in a way kind of negated, I think, with the deck extending into that area. We just discuss this at further length, because we do have to schedule a public hearing for this.
Right, and
You scheduled a public hearing for them on the 20th of March.
have we got an application yet?
Full application?
I haven't gotten through all the paperwork from the last time.
I got this so far. This is okay.
Okay.
This was what was,
Yes. Mhm. So. Now, don't take up more time this evening. Further discussion, we'll have a public hearing on the 20th. Okay. And I did mention, I think, on the revised site map, a little bit more in the way of information on distances, setbacks, and such. Again, the distance that I just mentioned before was just the crude measurement that we took during the site walk. I think the distance to the septic was maybe 26, I believe, that's where I jotted down. Anyway, the more information in terms of the distances on the property, the better.
but I think that public hearing was gonna be on the 6th, wasn't it?
No,
That's for-
Rodney Tardis is on the 6th with the
Oh.
YMCA.
That's right.
Theirs is on the 20th.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, we have 2 on the 6th?
That's
Okay,
right.
Thank you, thank you. That's right.
Any further things? Go ahead.
Well, the issue on that, it says on expansions,
Mhm.
you can expand a non-conforming structure as long as it doesn't become more non-conforming. So if the distance from the water is 30 feet and they move it back 10 feet and put a deck on it, it's still not making it more non-conforming because it's still 30 feet from the water.
Have you found ground coverage yet?
No, I'm in the shoreline zone.
Hey,
Yeah.
Bill, what page?
That's page 5 of shoreline zone.
So I think we need to do more thinking on this.
Is that lot coverage supposed to be no more than 20% of the property? And that includes
Driveway.
the home, the driveway, any sheds? any
Yeah,
structures?
impermeable structures or
I think
surfaces.
it's 20%, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Mhm.
So it says the maximum footprint of the principal structure may not be expanded to a size greater than 800 square feet or 30% larger than the footprint that existed on January 1 of 1989.
That's a principal structure. We're talking about a deck.
I think we have to do more thinking on this.
It's always worth asking.
Oh, most definitely.
And we'll review the applicable shoreline zoning ordinance regulations there.
Yeah, we've got time.
Yes, Okay.
We've got time.
Thanks for coming tonight. Again, if you make those adjustments, that'd be great. If you have any other questions, please contact me.
So you got the size for the map, 1 inch is 40 feet.
Got
Yeah,
it.
please. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you guys.
We get that to Struggle also early.
Yes, please.
Oh,
Yep.
Or if I'm not in, because I'm only here in the afternoon, the ladies at the front will take it and save it for me.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is Mr. Kyle Gaskin. And this pertains to the discussion of a removable deck in a right of way.
That's it.
Deck or dock?
Doc.
Doc, my apologies, thank you.
Yeah, we had deck on the brain. I didn't even
That's good.
I didn't even pick up on that.
Thank you.
I'm Kyle Gaston, 66 Shore Road.
Mhm.
So really just looking for your guys' guidance on a dock that my neighbors and I have installed on the right of way. We've been working on this for 7 years with the town now to try to come to an acceptable solution. Keep receiving violations from the town after we feel like we've found a good place. So really looking for your guys' guidance and thoughts on what we've done and if there's anything that we can change so that we can eliminate getting any violations in the future.
I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
what's the issue here? I mean, you've got a deck, I mean, I'm sorry, a dock in water that you don't own?
Correct. So there's a number of deeded right-of-ways around the pond. All of them have docks on them. And our understanding is DEP regulates docks in the water and that the town requires a permit for docks that touch the land above the high
That's
water mark.
temporary.
Right.
Right.
So if you look around the pond at every other dock, they're all hard mounted into the ground on the right of way, extending out into the water in any sort of fashion. What we're suggesting is, that ours, for whatever reason, continues to get violations, that we don't allow it to touch the land, so that in our mind, it's beyond the jurisdiction of the town's ordinance at that point. That if it's not touching, then we're not touching the ground above the high water mark, so we're not on a right of way. We're just in the water. So then it would be, in our mind, DEP's jurisdiction.
But are you gonna take it out?
Every year, yep. Yeah, it comes in and out every year. So this is something that's not new. Some of the other property owners that are with me, they've been doing this. I've actually got a video link if you guys want to see it from another one of the property owners that couldn't be here tonight, but she's been there for 25 years and has been putting the dock in and out. But it's really, I think we've got the attention of the town because some of the abutting waterfront owners have taken issue with it as it's becoming used more often. So I think that's why, it's become an issue in the last 7 years and not in the past.
More use, goes to more users.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's not very many backlot owners. Like if you think of all the waterfront owners on Shore Road, say there's 30 or 40 of us along there. On the backlot side, there's like 4 and let's say 5. 4 of those 5 are using, all 5 of us are splitting use on 2 right-of-ways. It's basically it. So it's not a very large number of people.
So just for some other information on this, I think it was George Roberts owned all the land, and when he divided it, he created these rights of ways,
Yeah.
and gave everybody needed access to the rights of ways. Because it made it easier to sell the lots for waterfront because they had that. So that's come out of those right of ways is these issues.
I've got pictures here if you guys would like to see it.
Please. And also, before I leave, you mentioned the
Yeah.
video link.
Yeah.
Julie,
Thank you.
Maybe send that to
Yep.
Julie
I
and
emailed it to
Julie.
Julie. So those photographs are showing us installing the dock last year and what it looks like, how close it comes to the ground. So not touching the ground, but close enough where somebody can step from the ground onto the dock. So we're trying to be clever to get, to a place where we're in good standing with the town. I think there's a million ways to solve this issue. We'd just like to quit playing, this guessing game with the CEO and get to a place where
Did you guys talk to, did you talk to Brenda when she was here?
I got a file this thick with my name on it that Julie can attest to. But
You
this is
apparently-
going back to Patty and Brenda. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to be a pain here, but it sounds like you didn't get the answer you wanted to hear.
So we do. Every time that I've come in the spring, I get the answer that we need, and then by fall, we're receiving notices.
Well, wait a minute, what do you mean you get the answer you need?
Well, we get an answer that allows us to put a dock and a boat lift in the water.
Oh, well, now, wait a minute. Do you have, again, I'm not trying to be a pain in the neck here, but if you have, I mean, right now I've got a couple of letters from Brenda
Mhm.
saying, hey, you guys put a dock in an area you don't own,
Correct.
basically, and you're saying that, I think you're saying that she said it previously that that was okay.
So the dock
Not
is,
exactly what, and then there's one here from June. It says, furthermore, this is June 20th of 23. It says furthermore, talking about trees primarily, but it says, a dock has been placed in the water. I'm unable to find a permit for the structure. So she's told you that in June of 23. And then in November, she followed it up with a letter saying, hey, this dock is improper, get it out.
So, Don, if you remember right, we talked about this in our workshop, and there was two issues. One, if the dock is in the water and doesn't touch the land, it's the state's required, it's under their oversight.
Yeah, purview.
Nothing to do with the town. If it's on the shore, above the high water mark, and it touches the ground, then she has jurisdiction.
So this one is,
This doesn't even touch the shore.
And this is removed?
Yeah.
every
correct,
year?
every year.
so is it?
Not only removed from the water, but not stored on the right of way.
Right. One of the other complaints that came in on this whole issue, because I got involved in it
Yeah,
several years back, was that the people complained that they couldn't get access to the water.
okay.
Well, you can see the width of the right of way, that's not blocking access to the water.
Correct. The right of way is 20 feet wide, the dock is 3 feet wide.
Yeah.
So you got
So-
17 feet.
Those are the issues that they're dealing with, and I think what he's asking is, he just wants some direction from our board. Is this okay to go ahead and do? And
Well,
I
wait a
guess
minute.
we would say, it's not our jurisdiction.
I mean, that's if it's, but wait a second, not so fast, not so fast. If the state, if this is under state jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Would it be possible for the applicants to get something from the state saying it's okay?
I think we fair enough.
So
I mean,
yes, but the state doesn't permit temporary docks. They'll issue a permit for a permanent dock, which is
Yeah.
one of the avenues that we could pursue. But I don't think that a permanent dock is what anybody would prefer. You know, I mean, that's where you're sinking piers and you have a permanent structure. We'd like to do it like everybody else is doing it, have a temporary dock that you put in the spring and take out in the fall and have as minimal of an impact as possible.
So we have another project going on where DEP's or the US Army Corps of Engineers supposed to come out. They don't have
we can't
anybody to
get
send
it.
out.
Yeah, I know.
So what are you gonna do?
Well,
And
how
that's
about,
that's a problem.
along the lines of what Don is saying, maybe something from the state DEP that just on their letterhead says that indeed this is not touching the shoreline, therefore it's not within town's jurisdiction. It's a temporary and annually removed structure, so it's not in our jurisdiction either. So,
I don't know. I mean, I'm not looking to create issues one way or the other. It's just, I know Brenda was pretty straight down the line on the requirements. It's just too bad it hadn't been resolved before now. I think you want to get it resolved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good thing before the season starts.
Yeah, I mean, we've been through this with the CEO every spring and fall for the last 7 years.
Well,
Right.
yeah, see, that's what bugs me because.
Right.
I mean, I know the CEOs, right? The previous two CEOs, and they're pretty straight down the line people. And
So we got our guidance from Brenda to do it this way, where it doesn't touch the ground.
yeah,
And we have a very clear distinction where it actually didn't come even over the top of the ground. If you took a line of sight straight down, you'd see water between the land and the dock, right?
sounds fair.
And that was her thought on how we got around it. But I think we've got some pretty vocal neighbors, and it was, it feels
Vocal in
like
the sense, what do you mean vocal?
that are opposed to the dock. So the waterfront owners are opposed to there being a dock there. All the backlot owners that use the dock are obviously for it. And so I think it's been a squeaky wheel gets the oil. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's unfortunate. I mean, there's no homeowners association that covers this area.
There's not. And if you look at every other right of way around the lake, they are let's say, violating in, you know, in stark contrast to what we're doing here. Yeah, they're leaving things on the right of way. You're not supposed to store things on the right of way. There's docks and boats and things thrown all over these
Well-
things. And, you know, it's just the one that's getting the complaint that we're here to talk about.
Yeah, but just because the rest are in violation of the ordinance doesn't mean it's correct.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying, suggesting it's correct. I'm saying that we're the most correct one that's out there. in
You're the
my
least-
mind, but
You're the
we're
least in
willing-
violation.
Right, so
Or
we're
maybe.
saying we're willing to make changes to the design of the dock or how we do the things, but, you know, looking for your guys' guidance on maybe what information we can bring or what we can do differently.
It sounds like you're the least illegal.
Exactly, yes.
No, I mean, is there some way to, but the trouble is, you know, where does the planning board come in on this? That'd be my question. I mean, is this under the town's jurisdiction or not? I mean, that's the question I would have.
I think what Brenda was asking back at the time was for us to give her some direction, so she
Yeah.
had somebody agreeing with it.
Yeah, something to lean on.
Decision.
Which is fair, which is fair.
It is fair, yeah. And Unfortunately, things have changed
Yes.
since it started, and so where to go?
Well, you know, the other thing we could do, which is a really sort of a chicken's way out, would be to punt this to the lawyer, the town lawyer, and say, then you'll get something that probably no, I don't know what we would get if we want to go that. I mean, I don't know whether,
I think we do need some sort of legal interpretation here.
Right, I mean-
Going into a limbo area
Because,
between ourselves and the.
well, I mean, it sounds like the difference in this case is, I mean, if, let's put it this way, if none of your, and I don't know how many complaints have come in because they don't typically go to the planning board, to my knowledge. I don't think we've seen any complaints. But if, you know, if this was one of the docks that nobody complained about, et cetera, it would go on, I guess, would continue being done the way it's done. This one, apparently, there are complaints, which is why probably Brenda got involved, I would think.
Absolutely.
So the question is, how do we get it resolved? It's really, doesn't seem to come under the purview of the planning board, honestly. But somebody's got to make a decision, and I guess,
I would think if we determine that if it's fully in the water and it's not our jurisdiction, that we just say that. It's not touching the land, so we've got nothing to do with it.
are we
Touching
sure
the
we don't?
shoreline.
We're sure we don't, are we sure we don't have anything to do with it? I mean, that's the,
Everything, I've looked into it a lot. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I've talked to Patty about it. I've talked to Brenda about it. And it basically comes down to if it's fully in the water, it's got nothing to do with us. If it's on the land, then we have jurisdiction. So I think that would be the determination to make. Where do we stand?
well, if we make that determination, then we want to go the step. I'm not saying you do, we do, but we could say, put our comments in some kind of a legible, readable method and then send it to the town lawyer and say, hey, this is what we think is the correct approach.
Yeah.
Are we missing anything? And then he comes back and says, okay, or no, you've screwed it up again.
yeah,
Then we go back and do something else.
Would we do that?
mhm.
But, maybe also sending the copies of correspondence that Brenda has sent to Mr. Gaskin.
Yeah, no,
as
that's
well as
fair.
attachments.
That's fair.
Put something like that together.
Yeah, because
Or legal review.
with the number of bodies of water in the municipality and the number of right-of-ways, we could have, if we do this wrong, we could have an abundance of docks that are just slapped in on every single right-of-way.
Well,
Well-
sorry to interrupt you. You've already got that.
You've got-
I know,
You
and
can't fit any more docks on right of ways. They've all got one.
Right, there's a few other waterways.
I mean, early on, I had actually suggested that docks be permitted, and I was shot down hard.
Well, it's because we don't have jurisdiction over it if it's in the water.
Oh,
That's where they pay to have the dock. and then it's inspected, go, okay, we're
Yeah.
good.
Kemba.
And that way
I
we
I
know,
know we get mail from that shore road sometimes too, yeah.
So I think what we are deciding is drafting a letter to town council saying that as we see it, we do not have jurisdiction on this because it does not touch the shoreline. Include the correspondence that the Brenda has sent to Mr. Council as well, and just ask for verification of our interpretation. Does that do it?
That sounds logical and it gets the right person involved, and I would say it would help protect the town from
that and
some kind of spurious.
give the
lawsuit.
property owners something to
Yeah.
refer to, so someone come back later on and ask.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be tremendously helpful. Is there a way that I can follow up on that?
Well,
Julie, awesome.
Julie,
I'll give it a shot in terms of drafting something and send it out to
Yeah.
Julie and get everyone's feedback on that and take it from there.
I wondered, Julie, if you have any of the correspondence from Brenda to the state on that particular issue, because I know she got the feedback from them, and that's where she would come to this conclusion.
Probably in her emails.
Could very well be, yeah.
My only question is, how many trees did you cut down?
So that was a misunderstanding. I cut down 0 trees. It was actually the abutting waterfront owner that had cut down a bunch of trees through a tree service, but I'm sure she got a permit for it. So
Okay, I just noticed that in the letter.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was definitely Brenda's larger concern was
Yeah.
trees being removed.
Yeah, I guess
But yeah, we're not cutting trees down there.
Very good.
Yeah, I don't think she was looking for this. I think she noticed it because of the trees, right? Or something. I think she just ran across
There was
Yeah.
complaints.
it.
about-
Otherwise,
Yeah.
okay, thank
There were
you.
phone calls.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tree work happening. Just out of curiosity, if you did not have access with this particular dock, you and the other folks who are on the other side of the roadway on shore, how would you have any access to the?
So the access is deeded and
Okay.
it's not specific to any backlot owner, specific to any right of way. So all of them are kind of equal access as I read it. So I've got copies of my deed and some of the other deeds of the other property owners. They're all written almost exactly the same.
Is there 4 of those, 4 or 5?
There's right away.
Right-of-way.
Yeah, there's 4 that I've counted
Yeah.
on the Shore Road area. Then there's some on Poor Farm on either end as well, because Poor Farm kind of wraps around.
Everybody
what-
was deeded rights.
Mhm.
To all of them?
But it's a very, I mean, it's a very, here, you guys can see it. I've got, it's a short paragraph and it's the one in brackets down there at the bottom. I might have to.
Yeah, that's good. I've read it.
You read it. You pass that one on.
Is it-
So it's vague and, yeah, I think those are the only copies. Oh, no. There
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
So every single, yeah, you can keep those. So everybody up, whether you're a waterfront owner or a backlot owner, every single deed on Shore Road reads almost exactly like.
Mhm.
Well, can I ask just one other question? I mean, if everyone has a copy of this,
Yep.
that you say, and they all know that everyone has access, why are there complaints of people saying you're blocking the right of way?
Oh, now you're, yeah, that's a question about getting into the minds of somebody that, yeah, I'm not
Are
sure.
people was somebody trying to put a boat down there and they couldn't get it because the dock was in the way or something, or?
No, so it's only the waterfront owners that have complained. So they have their own frontage if they
Right,
want to get down
right.
to the water as well. It's
Right, okay.
from the way they've explained it to me, it's, they've been able to have that property with nobody on it for a period of time, and now people are using it. So at least that's what one of them told me, and the kind of the impression I get from the other one.
So the other thing, Don, on right of ways, okay, by statute, you can't build anything on a right of way. Okay, so you can't put a dock on a right of way. You can't store a boat on a right.
Right.
Okay, and what he's saying, I think, is it's not really on the right of the way, it's on the lake. So that therefore it's not covered under that.
But the only thing is, it's right at the end of the right of way,
It's on the side.
on the water
end
side.
The wa-
yes.
Okay, I could see how people, well, I don't know, I mean, it's too bad can't get along and just.
I
make it
agree.
work. Maybe
Couldn't,
it's,
couldn't agree more.
asking too much.
Yeah, because, there's other solutions that are farther beyond what we feel like would be the town's jurisdiction. Like in one of those pictures is our swim raft that's out there, right?
Yeah.
So you can put moorings out there and attach boats and rafts to moorings. But then if you're talking about accommodating 4 different houses that have 4 or 5 different boats, now you're talking about building a flotilla out there that has a bunch of boats around it. And it's not as convenient for the owners to get to their boats, and it's a lot more unsightly for anybody that wants to enjoy the pond to see a bunch of stuff floating around out there.
So give this a shot in terms of drafting a letter to council. Probably won't be able to get that to that until maybe Friday this week. And send it out for review.
I'd send them the picture.
Yes,
That's great.
and we'll
Absolutely
get
great.
the video link,
Yeah.
a copy of the sample deed that you have for Mr. Gasman. And we'll hopefully get some guidance
Great.
from them.
And I did send you that link, so if you guys want to see that video from the other property owner at any point, I'm sure Julie can help with that.
Yeah.
I'll send that out to them.
Awesome. All right.
Wonderful,
guys.
wonderful.
Have a good night.
Okay, thank you.
Kyle, did you sign it?
I did not. Right there.
Yes, please, and thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is Mr. John Platts. And you reside at 72 West Shore Road.
Yes.
Okay.
Looking to hopefully be able to open up a medical marijuana delivery service.
Mhm.
I have a room over my garage that I can use. No customers, no storefront, just a delivery service.
So there'll be no pickup on site. It's all.
It's all off-site, correct?
Mhm.
Standards
Oh,
that
thank you.
follow the marijuana, if you're not ordinance.
Thank you.
And that would be section 1022 of the Lyman zoning ordinance. It deals with foreign standards for medical marijuana.
And I get
Unfortunately,
all-
there's nothing about delivery in it.
No. We reviewed this in advance. I don't know if any questions arise.
The big thing is, do you fall within shoreline zoning?
Do not know, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
That
Yep,
is a
it's got to
good question.
be anything within 250 feet from the nearest point. And a quick look on, I didn't print it, on the survey and the tax map referencing that property. The lot is like, the closest lot has a border of 200 feet. Then we have the right-of-way, depending on the width, of the right-of-way and your property boundary, that may put you within shoreland zoning.
Oh, I'm across the road from it, okay.
Right, but it's still that 250 feet from the edge of the water.
It's still covered in, it's covered in shoreline, isn't it?
I was gonna say, you can have shoreline businesses.
Page 46, let's see.
It's no different than running an electrical company or a plumbing company. You just have a couple of guys stop in the morning. and
Just
go out about their day.
Right, no customers, no heavy traffic.
On the town's website is the shoreline zoning ordinance
Okay.
and the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Please feel free to read it.
Yeah.
And because you may say, this is where we are, and
Yeah.
explain it.
Well, that's why we wanted the meeting, because I read through most of it, and honestly, it was
Mhm.
I read through it, and I was like, I don't see too much wrong, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Clear with you guys before going forward.
So you're not growing, you are having delivery
No,
of
Nothing like that, no, it's all sealed packages.
large quantities or,
It's all from other vendors.
right.
And it's nothing more than what we would feel comfortable holding, and honestly, for the sake of the record, it would probably be no more than $5,000 or $10,000 at a time,
Mhm.
because we don't want that riffraff that comes along with it.
Right,
We just want
and
it
you'd
to
have the
be-
minimum required security systems,
Exactly.
cameras,
Yeah, we-
lights,
Cameras, lights, absolutely.
everything to protect your
Oh,
investment.
We're already working on that now around the
Yes.
property.
Do you think this would come under medical marijuana home production?
They're not producing,
We're not producing.
Well,
they're distributing.
Okay, not so fast, not so fast.
That's
Nah,
that's
not
why
so
we're here
fast.
today. But
Under shoreline, page 46,
Okay. 46. Mhm.
definition of medical marijuana home production. Growing, cultivating, processing, and/or storing medical marijuana by a registered medical marijuana caregiver, blah, 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 at its primary residence as a home occupation use. So you're storing, aren't you?
Right.
Yes, that's essentially what it will be, is storage and our pickup for us.
Yeah,
To
not
deliver.
pickup for anybody else.
No, I do not want any customers
Well,
in my house.
Well, we mean pickup, you're picking it up from some other place and bringing it to this facility, right?
Correct,
Home.
yes. Yes,
Okay,
and
so-
then we will be distributing it out as a delivery service.
And this is your home?
This is my home, yes.
So
So,
that's the only thing I could find that appeared to maybe cover that. I don't know.
It does say and/or distribution
Yeah.
on the medical marijuana production facility.
Oh, distribution there?
But it's just production.
Right.
Right, but there's that, Don's favorite weasel words, and/or distribution.
That's why we're here. That was why I was like,
Yeah.
well, we're
which is not the
really,
caregiver's primary round.
and really the storage, because it depends on what you consider storage, because I've been in the industry for a minute, and I see other storage facilities where it's just dry bulk storage.
Yeah.
And then there's sealed, packaged, safe storage that is OCT standard.
Yeah.
Now, that is actually considered a commodity that already, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what you consider storage at that point.
I think the applicable category would be medical marijuana home production because, as you mentioned, Kelly, medical marijuana production facility, distribution by a medical marijuana caregiver at a location which is not the caregiver's primary.
Oh, yep, I,
So this would be-
not, so it cannot be that one.
Can't be that.
So I think the previous definition is applicable, and I think I overheard you, Don, mention that when we take a look at the land uses in shoreland for medical marijuana home production, the
That's
code
actually
enforcement officer
CEO,
yeah, authorizes that. And I would think with some of the things, Kelly, that you mentioned, cameras and other security devices in place.
Mhm.
So which one would cover it?
I think it would be medical marijuana home production. It does say storage in the primary residence as a home occupation use. Then we go,
It says by a registered medical marijuana caregiver.
Yes.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
you are.
You are, okay, that was my question.
I'm a consultant. I go across the state of Maine, and I actually work with a bunch of different actual larger grows. I actually helped shut down a bunch of the Chinese grows here in Maine along the way. So I honestly, I wouldn't waste your time at 6:30, 7:00. I can go have dinner with my wife right now. So I'm just trying to help John and I get along to
Yep.
try and move something forward. But yeah, obviously we understand there's some zoning, and that's why
I apologize. Your name, sir?
My name is Scott McDonald.
How do we know that there isn't a crossover between medical and commercial?
So that is the big
I mean, it's-
dilemma right now in
Yeah.
the state, because the big issue that the state is having is they're doing more testing on the recreational side
Right.
than the medical side. And then, yeah, your look is the same exact look I gave to Augusta, because it should have been the other way around.
Right, I
And
think so.
honestly, it would have stopped.
You would think so.
But because right now, the biggest thing that we have is we have a lot of brokers driving around with large quantities, going to different dispensaries and trying to offload at cheap dollar amounts and allow the dispensaries to kind of shut the lights off because CMP is charging them a minute. So that way they're able to put something on the shelf.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's where the sickness happens, because the biggest things that we're testing for is yield, mold, sulfur, sulfuric acid, stuff like that, that they put into these plants. to make them produce a higher yield, so to speak.
Mhm.
I've been in this industry for a minute, and I honestly, it drives me crazy because I want to see it done the correct way. And that's why I'm meeting with John, and John's been in this for a long time too. When we met, it was like, okay, I see that you have the vision that I have, and that's why I was like, okay, I can't do it in my town, because my town will just give me the green light and just say, run with it, and I don't even want that. Like, they're just not gonna let anyone go in there. So that's why John wanted to come to you guys, because we know that you guys have a little bit more of a stingence with this, and your market's a little more not saturated, I would say.
Well, anyhow, it seems that's the only category I could see that it would fit under.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily in favor one way or the other, but the ordinance permits it.
Right.
Then I don't see where,
If it's allowable, it's allowable.
Yeah.
If it's not, it's not.
Yeah, I mean,
We have no irons in the fire.
yeah, no,
It's
that's
just-
what we wanted to make sure with you guys before going forward, because we do, going into this, we have to check with you.
So
The
how
only-
do you determine the distance from the water?
Yeah, distance from the water and the rest of it, because I used to, like I said, I did a lot of horticultural stuff and I helped a lot of businesses, and that's the biggest issue, is it being residential and commercial. And then
Would it be the edge of the property or would it be the building?
it'd be the edge of the property line.
Yeah.
They're gonna go from your property marker,
Okay.
yeah, and then they're gonna find the
In-
closest point to the water.
I was gonna say, in this case, I don't, if it's allowable under medical marijuana home production, but the home production does not say distribution.
That, yeah, and
That's
where-
those
where
little-
I got, because production means you're manufacturing, you're growing and packaging it and doing that.
Where the production facility says and or distribution.
But he stores it till he sells it.
Well, first, the determination is this within the shoreline zone.
Yes, that,
Okay.
Yeah,
That being
that's
said, so
number
we're
one.
Dealing with this, and again, of the definitions, as I think, I agree with Don, that home, not medical marijuana, home production, although you're not producing it, because specified storage would be most applicable. And the land use chart, it says here that would be under the CEO's purview,
Mhm.
in which I would interpret it to mean just, notification of to the code enforcement office that this business is in existence.
Quick question, so you are storing it there, but then you deliver it. So nobody comes there to buy it, you are delivering. So, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's-
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
No
either-
extra-
No,
honestly,
I'm
it's-
just trying to be.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be probably the two of us that do the deliveries.
Yeah.
That's it.
I have just one other question. Sure. And I'm sorry we don't have a CEO to talk to about this, but what effect does it have if there are neighbors that wouldn't like this? Or they might not like any business possible.
Well, the gentleman across the street runs a painting business out of his house. The gentleman at the end of my road runs some sort of electrical contracting business out of there. He's actually building a house right next to his house, the existing house now.
Yep.
So there are a couple of businesses down there.
And that was kind of what I saw, it's a lot of contractors in the area. So.
yeah, the one bad thing is it's marijuana and people get all,
As far as I'm concerned, my two neighbors could care less.
You're not gonna put a big sign out there that
No,
says
no.
marijuana stored here?
Trust me, I said,
No, that's gonna be.
I speak to
complete
churches.
opposite.
Okay.
I have my property posted.
Yep.
I'm on a private road, so, no, I don't want anybody knowing it's there, to be honest with you. Except for the town that needs to know.
And again, I think the only
Will be the distance.
official,
And would you say 200 or 250?
250.
250, but again, I think it's applicable here, and again, maybe just some
I think I got
letter of notification to the code enforcement office that this business will exist here.
Mhm.
I think will suffice.
Do we need to vote on this?
No harm in doing so.
I was gonna say, again, because we have gotten hit on several other things, my one sticking point is distribution is not listed in medical marijuana home production. That's
which is kind of odd, because if you're producing it, most caregivers in their home will sell it out of their home.
exactly. And it's an oversight that maybe the ordinance review committee or us need to look at and have changed.
Yep.
I think
What
it
would
may
that
be
do
just,
that- What would that do for us starting our business?
That isn't gonna get changed anytime soon.
No,
we are an
I understand.
inclusive zoning ordinance, which means if it's not specifically
I
included,
understand that.
it is excluded.
Right.
The one below it, which is the production facility, has Don's weasel words and/or.
Right.
That,
well,
that
Well,
one doesn't. I
you
think
know,
it's an oversight.
It says store. It doesn't say anything about how you get rid of it.
He's right. It is just a storage facility until we deliver it.
Yeah.
Growing, cultivating, processing, and/or storing medical marijuana by registered.
depends what you call processing too. Is processing including getting rid of it?
That is a process.
Yeah,
I mean,
That's the end process of what we do.
you would store it or just
Doesn't
collect it.
And it's not retail because there's no storefront.
you know,
It's,
No brick and mortar, just
Not
like,
yet.
just like a food truck.
I think it legitimately could be
I do too.
construed under that, and if we decide that's the case, then we probably should take a vote on it, and then,
Well, Chair will
Record
entertain a motion to do just that.
Well, now if the business was in your name, you don't reside there.
No, it's all it is. I'm just this right hand man,
Then-
or left, whatever you want.
But it wouldn't be your primary residence is what I was getting.
So, Julie, question. Where would you go to gather more information to see where we stand with this?
I've been talking to OCP and stuff like that myself, so.
I believe they have to do there's an application for an at-home occupation,
Okay.
so.
Well, if you don't know where it's at, then I find.
I was gonna say, if it's medical marijuana home production, that is just permitted from the CEO. That doesn't come before us at all. Now, if it's medical marijuana production facility, then it falls under our purview.
Yeah.
I would have to look for.
Yeah. Bill, if you were asking for like an agency or something like that.
Yeah, I'm saying, well, I mean, if we,
Yeah, I get.
as if we had a lot of free time to go look this stuff up,
That's right.
where would I go? And I would probably call the state and say,
Yeah,
That'd be OCP.
educate me, you
yeah,
know?
so I would refer you guys to OCP, which is the Office of Cannabis Policies from the state of Augusta. I have some contacts that I could actually give you guys to call and reach out to. I've already talked to them myself.
Mhm.
They have no issue with it. There's a lot of, right now, dispensaries, or I should say, delivery dispensaries in different towns. They all find this, I don't want to say it's a loophole, but it's a way to get away from the brick and
If you
mortar.
have a
It's like
name
food
and a
trucks.
number, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, I can give you their number in a
That would be
minute.
very
And,
helpful.
the reason that we're here is because cities like Portland, I would have to get a permit in that town. So even out of here, if you allow us here, if I was to go into the city of Portland, I have to clear myself with Portland before driving into their town line. Does that make sense? And that's where we have this. I have a lot of different states, stuff like that I talk with, and I try to help these guys get into this the correct way, because let's be real, we don't want code enforcement and state police kicking in doors at the end of the day for a guy who's just trying to make a living.
Mhm.
So OCP, they're
may I make one other comment?
Sure.
Just, not to stir the pot too much, but you could look, you know, the land use table also lists home occupations, which is, I don't know why, I'm not justifying this, but that has, depending which zone you're in, is either the, planning board or the CEO, depending on which of the zones. But the definition of home occupation is an occupation or profession which is customarily conducted on or in a residential structure or property. Customarily, I'm not sure what that means. and which is, one, clearly incidental to and compatible with the residential use of the property and surrounding residential uses, again, Little Weasley. And two, which employs no more than two persons other than family members residing in the home.
Except for we have a specific medical marijuana, which
It's a
is,
whole different-
it's,
Yeah.
it's a difference
I agree.
between general zoning and shoreline zoning.
I agree with you. I'm not saying, I think it could be covered under the marijuana part of it,
I do too.
but I was just mentioning the fact that this could also be construed as a home occupation, which
No,
I
that's what
guess a
it
home
says.
occupation.
It is a home occupation.
I would suggest that home occupation would be sort of a catch-all unless it's covered specifically otherwise in the ordinance. Which you could make a case then if you're looking on one side, you could say, well, this type of activity is covered in the ordinance. If that's covered in the ordinance other than under home occupation, then it would go under the other part of it in the land use table. See what I'm saying? So, I mean, this is one of these,
So if you take the home occupation as the base start, then you add on the level that it's medical marijuana with the other stipulations that go with that.
yeah, but the medical marijuana appears to be less restrictive in the sense of the permitting side of
Yeah.
it. Which is a little.
Except for shoreline zoning.
Of course. But this,
Don't put it in the water. That's all.
but this isn't.
Fish food.
I thought this wasn't in shoreline.
We don't know.
Oh.
We don't
That's-
know.
I don't know how far, I don't know what my setback off the water is.
It's
You
close.
might have a sleepless night, you never know. We'll get a call with them out with flashlights tonight.
Dumping buckets of water in the razor level.
So, yeah, and it's the shortest distance to the water, so wherever that happens to be,
Yeah.
is where you measure from.
I think he's got like a 25 foot road to go on here.
Yeah.
Next tree line, so I think you're pretty clear there. That was.
Yeah,
that-
there's a road in between me and a bunch of other property.
Right.
I think the setback's okay. And obviously, we have to measure it, but-
Yeah.
Out there tonight.
right?
You guys are gonna get calls from the sheriff.
Could be.
Yeah, Al will just come out and not say what's going on.
So Don,
The others
I,
are,
I'm thinking what everybody's saying is that if they do the application for a home occupation and meet the other requirements for the
That,
medical marijuana home production section, that could very well be just taken care of by the CEO.
that's what I think.
Yeah,
As soon as
I
we
think
get
you're
one.
right. Well, we do have one, you just have to come on Mondays.
when I first showed up.
So I have the number here for you guys for
Yeah.
repeat. You
Please.
guys want to write it down? It's 207-287-3282.
Anyone in particular?
That will just take you right to the head office, and then from there, you'll be able to ask questions. Unfortunately, for security reasons, I can't give you any one person's number.
Got it.
They're under scrutiny themselves. I'm sure you guys have seen that in the news lines and stuff like that. So
Okay.
they got their own internal affairs to deal with.
So I think where we are is really finding one of those application forms. Mr. Platt's filling out one of those
Yep.
forms. Taking a measurement to see how close you are to the to see if you do fall within
Yeah.
zoning.
And
But I think regardless, it, I think falls within just the notification of the code enforcement office.
I think so too.
May I point out that in the regular zoning ordinance, which would be applicable if it wasn't in shoreland, both, if you look at, let's see here, home occupation is a yes, which means it's approved for use in all three zones, but not talking shoreland now. And also medical marijuana home production is also a yes, for all three zones. So that would imply that there's no site review required, which is what drags in the, not drags in, but pulls in the, not drags in the planning board.
Whether or not be dragged.
One, two, or not.
We'll just gently force you to.
Yeah,
And Don, that also falls on the on the shoreline zoning as well as the regular zoning.
That's right.
medical marijuana home production. Yeah, CEO, 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 CEO. So
I think we're sort of,
Yeah, because I think pretty much what it was is because he's a fill-in for you. He wasn't sure, so that's why he pushed me to you guys.
I appreciate that.
gentlemen.
Yeah. No.
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, I want to do it right. I don't need the town breathing down my neck later.
Okay.
All right, so just hook up with Julie sometime.
Okay.
Perfect.
You still have my number and such, or would you like it again?
Yeah.
You got that?
If you-
So do you know Celtic
This is
Consignment?
my email.
Yes,
Celtic Consignment?
yes, I've met him a couple of times. I also know, Uncle Pete too.
Interesting character, isn't he?
Oh, yes.
This is my email.
Okay.
If you don't hear from me and you want to send me an email just to jog my memory,
Yes.
because I'm a little overworked right now.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good evening.
Good night.
Friday or so, or Monday or so.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy your
Thank
evening.
you.
Good luck.
Geez, nobody left.
Next on the agenda is discussing change in start of meeting time. And 5:30.
I listened to the last minutes and I was like, you know what? That actually may work out for me better on the third. 4 meetings I'd normally miss because they typically start at 7:30. So if I could get out of here by 7 in an hour and a half meeting, then I wouldn't miss any meetings.
I have no preference. I mean, if it's more convenient,
Warmer weather coming, man. I'm all for it.
So
I just want to point out that in Alfred, their select board meets at 4:00.
Good for
Not that I
them.
want to move you up to 4:00. I'm just saying,
Just
5:30
FYI.
is not unreasonable.
well, it just depends on, I mean, I'm, it should be obvious, but I'm retired and I don't work, so it doesn't affect me, but I don't know about Kevin, people who are working and they have to be in an office or someplace, that kind of thing.
My hours are flexible.
I was gonna say, I'm fortunate. I work from home.
And
So
Bill, we know, just drives around on the way.
So,
I'm in this office, so it doesn't affect me.
I make a motion that we change the starting time for the Lyman Planning Board from 6:00 PM to 5:30 PM.
Do we want to set a date for that because we have stuff scheduled?
The first meeting in April,
that sounds good.
because that gets us through the next two public
That sounds
hearings.
good.
As amended.
I thought you'd agree.
Very good. I've got a motion second.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, great.
And we can maybe have them put a notice on
Yeah,
on whatever, the mail thing.
And just to be clear, the April's meeting at 7:30 or 7:00, I gotta leave.
Okay.
So it'd be great if they could put it on the front page of our website, the town website. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
We can probably.
Mhm.
okay,
Charles?
Okay.
all right. Agenda for the next meeting.
Before we do that,
Mhm.
can we make a suggestion to our IT that they update oh God, I just forgot what, the membership roster, I believe.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
You'll have to go through the town manager to do
Yeah,
this.
well, it's on the record to the thousands of people watching.
thank you, Kelly. Let's see, agenda for the next meeting, scheduled for the 6th of March at 6 o'clock. So walking through this, Brookview again. First up, we've got the public hearings on the YMCA camp and on the Hewitt's property.
No, not you. it's
Here's my
Charlie.
apologies, Tardif it is, thank you. Let me see.
Well, there's 2 for, please. Tardif and which other one?
YMCA.
YMCA, okay.
Mhm.
And then review if we get everything together.
Right. Anything else? Anyone else that we can think of?
Maybe Julie on Brookview, they're the ones that gotta redo the letter, right?
Right,
Maybe tell them, say it's on the next agenda if you get the letter to us in time. If not, you'll have to wait.
What's the next?
Email the guy, the
garage on Buggin Pond. The house that was raised. Whether that-
I'm sorry. go ahead.
There was an email.
Mhm.
A question from the contractor out of that house on Buggin Pond that was being
What?
raised.
That was on,
There was a garage on site they were gonna demolish.
I thought that was on Kennyman Pond. The Marcotts or something, Marcotts. They wanted to
Sorry.
they moved their place back,
Oh, that's
build a new place.
Right.
The garage was gonna stay till the end, and now they wanna replace the garage. Do they need a new permit, was the question, I think.
Is it allowed? Do they have to come back to you to talk about it?
I don't think so.
I thought the whole deal was, is that everything that they want to do was approved, it just had to take place.
How do you, maybe they need a permit from the CEO, I
I
don't know.
thought that they were putting a new garage up, and then the old garage was gonna be used for storage while the construction was happening, and then the old garage was coming down.
Mhm.
And it all had to do with lot coverage, because weren't they getting rid of some of their driveway
Yeah.
Yeah,
to make for the bigger?
but I think
house?
what they decided, from what I saw in the email, was they're just gonna take that garage down now and they wanna put another one in its place. They haven't done a separate one.
I don't know.
So that would not change the coverage because it's existing. And I think that, and I'm just remembering, I remember reading through it, I thought they were asking, do we need a separate permit or are we all set to go ahead and do it? And I think was what the question.
So could we assign ourselves some homework, take a look at that email again? And
Yeah, how long ago was this project?
Well, it was last spring, wasn't it?
Okay,
Because I think we went out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was pretty cold.
sorry for that.
Yeah. And it's changed. I mean, it looks good. It's changed.
Yes, it sounds like they really don't need anything from the planning board. It sounds like they need to get a permit from the CEO if they want to build something. If it's outside the shoreline.
Well, it's not outside.
No, it's
Okay.
outside.
No, but under they were, like Julie said, they were originally going to build a new garage
Right.
Mhm.
and then tear down the old garage. But now I believe what they're saying is they want to tear down the old garage and put a new one in the same place. They just want to tear it down.
raise and rebuild.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah,
that's-
let's take a look at that
Verify with
on our own individually and see what we should advise the Burkharts about.
Let me ask one other question.
Sure.
Is it resolved, who's going to get resolved on the interviews for new planning board members? Is that being resolved?
Yes, it's been scheduled.
So it's okay.
Kelly and myself.
Okay.
Pick someone fun.
We'll see if they bring candy or beer.
There you go. All right.
Kidding, folks.
We'll get your minutes the next time around. Anything new on Harper?
Haven't read anything.
Okay. Let's see. I'll give mine a couple odds and ends here. First off, you all have a copy of something that Kevin put together, a little advisory to the Du Bois Brothers. Just a couple suggestions in terms of amplifying what they've already done to further mitigate any sound coming from their crusher.
What do you think's happened over there? Why with so much noise now when it wasn't before?
It has been mentioned, and Kevin mentions it in the letter as well, that you don't have the screening of trees that did exist before. A lot of it was taken down. I don't know, my amateurish interpretation is that the crusher itself is on an elevated area right now. Does that broadcast it all the more? Its positioning may be different than from times past.
Cooler weather sound travels farther.
Also,
Wear and tear on that radiator, they run that thing a lot.
mhm.
Standing near it, it is like you're in a wind tunnel. It's
Yeah.
pretty wild.
Temperature could be a factor. But again, as of late, please, out there in TV land, let us know to your experience has been to the contrary. It has been mitigated. There was a concern with respect to blasting there. Contacted Rick Boys about that. And we have sort of an informal understanding that, at least for now, next schedule, if there is to be another blast to be scheduled, contact me. I'll send out the email to all those on that email chain. I did contact a DEP employee, Mike Clark, about the DEP regulations on blasting. I haven't spoken to him directly about that. We voicemail back and forth. Did run off some material about that on DEP's site on blasting. And anyway, follow up on that with respect to who should be doing what and when.
Is this memo going to be sent to Du Bois?
I think that'd be,
There is one little nit.
oh, here we go.
Underneath the picture there,
Mhm.
on page one, it says the Lyman, I think you mean to put it the Lyman Planning Board.
Thank you.
So basically, my understanding as I'm learning this every day, if they've created a noise that's annoying, we have the responsibility to do something to mitigate that.
Correct, distractive nuisance.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah. Part of the 16 standards does deal with folks who are adjacent to joining the property, and also the noise is specified in that standard.
Mhm.
I think it's number 2.
no, I'm fine with that.
So, yeah, we don't, I mean, the planning board really doesn't have any enforcement authority, but we did issue the notice of decision for the gravel pit. And if something has changed since then,
Well,
Then-
we do actually have some leverage on enforcement because we can revoke the permit.
true, but I'm saying is, that's about the only, we don't have any other, fining, we can't find
I think the
people.
way it's going is the right way to do it. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
If-
we're-
understand what we can and can't do.
I mean, I would suggest that if the complaints continue and the applicant, or not necessarily this specific applicant, but if an applicant doesn't want to mitigate complaints, then take another look at the notice of decision and say, hey, the situation has changed since that notice was issued. I don't know of anything that says the planning board can't go and revisit that. If
Yeah,
the situation has changed.
And this.
And if there's got to be, and also if there's been complaints from other members of the community who are nearby, who are being adversely affected by this.
I think the people that are voicing the complaints should make sure that any complaint goes to the code enforcement.
Should be
officer.
documented.
Exactly,
So it
documented
becomes all-
on record so that they can show a history. If it does get to the point where further, more aggressive measures need to be taken, the documentation can be pulled up. These are the steps that were attempted. It hasn't failed, hasn't resulted in satisfactory conditions, so we need to escalate it.
I think one thing is clear is that the operators of this business have been
Yes,
very.
they've been very,
accommodating.
Yep.
they've been cooperative.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing.
Which is what we like.
Would you be cool with sending this to the Du Bois brothers?
Do we need a motion on that?
I think we do.
Now, if I would address it, the only thing else I would say, I would address it to whatever the business name is with their address, to so and so.
Are we also gonna send a copy to the selectman and the town manager?
And so on
The
and so on
CC,
the back.
yep,
Yeah, everything,
And maybe
and the code.
and me,
Yep.
all interested parties.
The most important part of the chain.
Yeah.
Mhm. And so the motion,
All right, I make a motion that under the name of the Lyman Planning Board, that we send this memo to Du Bois Gravel Pit Rock Crusher, or the company, and asking them to seek further compliance if it comes up again.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Again, Kevin, thank you very much for all this. And Julie, I'll send you the Word document on this. And if you print it out in color, that'd be great, because it does make a lot of difference in terms of your diagrams there.
The visual representation.
All right, so here's it. Covered anything more, Mr. Martino, I think is still contacting DEP to find out where he might be able to build the cottages that he has in mind. I don't believe we've heard anything more from Maxim's with respect to the Army Corps of Engineers on Cottage Road.
Brenda got an email from, I believe, the contact you gave her in Senator King's
King's Office, right?
office, and I have not found a second to respond to it.
Good.
She asked if there was a permit or an application number that they had. And I went to reach out to the Maxims and that's our track. Before I could find their email address.
Okay,
And that was the end of that call.
okay.
They're on my list.
All right. I do believe there, if not a contact number, contact person that they've been in the past, at least discussing the situation. I'll look at that as well. Let's see. The Virgin's on Barker Hill, on Barker Pond Road, and they wanted to get some guidance in terms of taking the platform off, leaving the stairs on their property. I guess that's a little bit in limbo right now until such times that they could, I don't know where they stand with that. Until such time they'd be having a code enforcement officer full time again.
And I think it was left too that they would remove the deck
Right.
when the weather was permitted them to get down there and it wasn't icy and snow or this or that.
Did they need to come back to anybody though? Was that,
Not from us, I
They were supposed to work it out with the CEO,
okay,
That's how it.
what would be allowed and what they could put it in, it would be permanent.
Remember to say.
okay, good.
Just for the heck of it, I don't know if we ever discussed before, folks over in Rundle, there's a property where there's a bank and they wanted to stick an ATM
Oh, yeah.
there.
The old Infinity Credit.
Yeah, that's right.
11.
Right.
Wasn't there already an ATM there before? For some reason, I remember going through that drive-through
Mhm.
after hours and using an ATM.
Yep.
I could be wrong.
I think this new one's gonna be right up front.
Yeah,
Yes.
Not in the
Maybe
building.
it's not a new relocation.
but that wasn't in Lyman, was it?
No, it's not.
It's-
But the whole parcel itself is divided between the two towns. But where they intend to place the ATM is in Arundel. So
I don't see,
Where
we
was that?
Huh?
Where do we get
I
involved?
don't see we have
I
a
think it
role
was
in
just
that.
there was a heads up given to Brenda on that. And,
If, did that go through site plan review for Lyman?
for that bank, was it?
Oh, God, that was 15 years ago, 20 years ago?
No, before that was I think it was
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witness. House of worship before
Oh,
it was converted over. And the only time we were in that vicinity was folks who, the restaurant,
Yeah,
was Ashley's. and
Yeah.
They had the meadery there.
which never took off, which was too bad. I was looking forward to that.
So,
I was just thinking if there was a site plan on file that's
Mhm.
being changed, then maybe, but if there's nothing.
I don't believe so. Good. So just not on our, literally on our, on our town lines, so let it go.
We should add, on a plain brewing. to
Yes,
the next
please.
agenda.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's right, they wanted to do something.
Lest we forget, let's not forget, sorry. Julie, could you read off what we have for the agenda, at least for now? And motion, second, and vote on that, please.
We have the public hearing for the YMCA and Rodney Target, and this private road. Reviews, nod, depending on if I get the letter sent to me, and if it gets revised, please somebody volunteer. And on a plain brewing, I will get this scanned in and sent it off to you. If it's something that needs to go for you, then you will let me know and we'll have him come. to do the board. That's all I have on this so far.
Is Unplanned asking for another revision to the, or extension on the?
I'm trying to remember when I
sorry.
talked to him, he mentioned something needed to be signed for the state of Maine to be able to have the outdoor
Okay.
Seating.
area, but it will be fenced in.
Mhm.
He previously had said he was gonna put a deck in, but didn't due to some problems with putting it on the property where he wanted it, so he was just gonna have, I don't know, in the grass or on a patio. But I don't know if it's, he didn't know, and I don't know if it's under you, or if it falls under the liquor license with the select board.
Okay. So, I think Jen said, keep them on the agenda for them until such time we determine that.
Yeah, if I remember, I mean, this is what, 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
There was discussion, it was just gonna be a tasting room,
Mhm.
minimal indoors, buy and go. He was talking, I wanna say he talked about outdoor seating.
Depends what the notice of decision says.
Yeah, because I trying to go back and look at
I sort of remember a
the
deck.
plan, yeah,
I don't.
where the lighting was, where the door was, where the
Depends what-
production, where the bar was.
I don't have a copy of that. I mean, if there's a notice of decision in the file, that would tell us.
So on the agenda.
Yeah, I just put it on, have him
Anything
update
else?
us.
That was all I had written down.
Do you have the motion or?
I was just gonna say, one of the things, I was watching the ordinance review committee the other day. I just want to say, when they took out the owner occupied ADU, I strongly oppose that. That opens up this municipality to outside investors who will come in, buy and rent them, and then they'll rent them short-term rentals. And we will be flooded, potentially flooded with a lot of people paying $300 a night and bringing in 40 people to a 5-bedroom house, 4-bedroom house.
So tell me what I'm suggesting, so make that known specifically to the ordinance review committee.
I'm also notifying the general public because they're pretty adamant that they want to take out the owner occupied. That's in, I also think that they really need to, the selectmen really need to put a moratorium on short-term rentals, as those by Alphabet Soup, FHA, USDA, RD, FMLIC, and the GSA are classified as commercial properties. And you have a short-term rental, particularly on the waterfront. Someone finishes off their basement and puts in 10 bunk beds and rents the place for the weekend. All our beautiful little ponds and lakes could be, see 15, 20 cars parked alongside the road because they are staying at this short-term rental. So those are two things I'm seeing nationwide that are really affecting communities and hurting them.
Thank you. Back to the agenda. Anything else to add? The chair will entertain a motion to accept the agenda as proposed.
Motion to accept the agenda as proposed.
Second? Second. Any further discussion on the agenda? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
Did any of you watch the public hearing for Hollis for their LE 2003?
no.
No.
Sorry, no.
I haven't either, it was a sticky note on my packet here, I just wanted to ask. I know that many towns are talking about it in public hearings. And I actually had a call today from a lady who wanted to know where Lyman stood, and I said, the ORC is ordinance review committee is looking into it, but we have nothing set at this time. I don't know the exact process it's gonna go through, but you only have until July 1st.
Well, it's gotta go on the ballot.
Right.
I mean, actually, the select board was talking about putting an emergency ordinance
That's
in
right.
for 90 days. And then having it on the ballot in November and having there'd be probably a gap in there somewhere, possibly, but
They can always renew
that's
it.
what the talk is anyway, suggestions are.
Mhm.
But it's, the process for changes is now more onerous in a sense.
I do believe the ordinance review committee has at least language in mind.
Yeah, they have
that.
some language.
Mm-hmm.
And the other steps would be getting the requisite 75 signatures on the petition and also obtaining legal review of what they have in mind.
Yep.
So I think that is in process, at least to my knowledge. Okay. Anything else? No.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Just gonna sign this now.
Don't choke John trying to get that the second. He was trying to get out as fast as he could.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they all.